You're a good man, son. And I love you.
I love you too, Dad.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down the most impactful moments on Yellowstone when characters involved with the Dutton Ranch lost their lives. We'll be excluding characters who died before the series' primary events. And if you're not caught up, this is your big spoiler alert. Number 15, Fred Meyers.
Where are we going?
Train station.
The trouble with Fred Meyers is one of the first times we learn the true meaning of John Dutton's train station. While employed at the Yellowstone, Fred causes some unacceptably rough trouble with fellow ranch hand Jimmy Herdstrom. When rancher authority Rip Wheeler attempts to deal out routine punishment, Fred remains rebellious and ends up fired. For starters, you don't get to lay your hands on men with the Yellowstone brand and just walk away.
You see this? You know what this means?
As Fred is driven from the property, he expects to be taken to an actual train station. Instead, his life ends in the bottom of a desert canyon. Fred's story represents what loyalty means to the Dutton Cowboys, and of how far they'll go when crossed. And it escalates quickly.
You know, I could drop him at the bus station, but he's been here a while, he's seen a lot. Train station's where I'd leave him.
Number 14, Patrick Monteith.
Make you feel better?
Makes it so I don't feel anything.
Patrick Monteith was a medical specialist with a distraught past, and he unfortunately was given the wrong body to examine. In the aftermath of the pilot's violent conflict, Kayce Dutton resultantly shot his brother-in-law Robert Long. When Monteith performed the post-mortem inspection, he determined the cause to be foul play.
What do you have to do to win one?
You gotta kill someone to get one of those. Ain't that right, Kayce?
Always protecting the Dutton family secrets, Rip Wheeler couldn't have this information coming out. Not only does Rip take the doctor's life turbulently, he proceeds to burn the entire facility around him in order to destroy the evidence. While Robert Long's death created a heavy secret between Kayce and his wife, Monteith's death showcases Rip's readiness to commit brutality, especially for those to whom he owes allegiance.
If you were willing to forget everything, I wouldn't be here.
Number 13, Chester Checkers Spears.
You're welcome.
You saying you shot John Dutton?
The hit on the Dutton family was a disarming blow to the Yellowstone audience, and there was reasonable desire from both the characters and fans for retribution. One place we got comeuppance was through Chester Checkers Spears, a foolish man who drunkenly bragged about his involvement in orchestrating the attack.
I just put people together. What they do is what they do. And what they did was clear your land.
When Thomas Rainwater's staff overheard this, Checkers was quickly apprehended and ultimately turned over to John Dutton.
I'm truly sorry for what happened to you, John. I hope this helps you get to the bottom of it.
In the tradition of the old Western cowboys, John challenged Checkers to a duel. Though the result was conclusively the same as an execution, John allowed the man that had attacked his family die with a sense of honor. It's a great scene that constitutes the principled morality of the Dutton family, yet still shows their unwavering ferocity.
Care to send me to heaven before I park your sorry ass in hell?
Number 12, Teal Beck. The ever-rising stakes on Yellowstone hit the fan when the Beck brothers came in. This duo of ambitious real estate businessmen came to blows with the Dutton family and ordered multiple attacks on their loved ones and allies. The result was a life-or-death showdown that marked the climax of Season 2. As the Duttons strike back, Kayce leads an attack that corners Teal Beck in the most vulnerable of positions, the porcelain throne. Teal's response is disarmingly sympathetic, as he pleads for his life to end in a less embarrassing position. He claims that previous victims of Beck brother violence never retaliated, and he seems dumbfounded at the Dutton family's bloody vengeance.
Nobody ever fights back.
Until now.
However, his pitiful state doesn't deter the bullet that Kayce buries into his heart.
I promised my wife I'd kill you. All a man has is his word.
Number 11, Donnie Haskell.
John, calm your boy down here, and we can have this conversation in town.
Rip. Go to the house.
John Dutton and Park County Sheriff Donnie Haskell had their differences, but both men held a resounding sense of skewed justice by which they lived their lives. The sheriff survived 4 seasons in the Montana Wild West before finding himself in the midst of a happenstance diner robbery. Unfortunately, Haskell takes some fatal crossfire despite the arrival of John and Rip. In sorrowful final moments, Donnie expires during his last phone call to his daughter.
Hey, Dad, can I call you later? I got the kids crawling
I
all
know.
over me.
I'm not that sure. You can.
What? Dad?
Yellowstone repeatedly teaches its viewers that endings are seldom happy and that loose ends are frequently left untied. This moment represents the show's bravery to leave audiences thoughtful and stricken rather than satisfied. That point is hammered home as John succinctly declares, "Everything's not okay."
Is everything okay?
No, honey, everything's not okay.
Number 10. Roarke Morris. We knew Sawyer survived the island. Josh Holloway makes a spirited Yellowstone edition as the charming and troublesome Roarke Morris.
Roarke. Which one is he?
That's me. Once you put a name to this face, you'll never forget it.
He's an associate of Yellowstone ranch enemy Market Equities, the invasive company seeking to build a harmful airport on Montana land.
It's a perpetually renewable resource that doesn't cost the state one dime. Which brings us to you, Mr. Dutton.
To that end, Morris happily takes time from leisurely fly fishing to hire violent cowboys that intimidate and brutalize loyal Dutton ranchers. But hell hath no fury like Rip Wheeler scorned.
Excuse me. This yours?
What?
In Season 4's premiere, John Dutton's #1 employee greets Roarke with a friendly ice cooler and a rattlesnake to the face.
Sure it's not yours? Huh? A little present from Yellowstone. What?
Fans expected this unpredictably quick demise about as much as Roarke did. It was an appetizing comeuppance for the slithery jerk. And as actor Cole Hauser commented, quote, "Josh did a great job in dying."
It shouldn't be long now.
Number 9. Dirk Herr. One of Yellowstone's most endearing characters is rookie cowboy Jimmy Herdstrom. He was once on a dark path and in need of redemption. Jimmy's grandfather Dirk convinced John Dutton to give him that.
You be a man about it. Don't scream.
Jimmy turned his life around at the Yellowstone Dutton Ranch until he ran into former criminal associates who weren't done with him one day. To strong-arm Jimmy, the delinquents ambushed Dirk, who would later succumb to his wounds.
It's a pretty big bruise. It's old, a week or so. So not related.
Possibly. Could be a stroke initiated by the trauma. Could be on blood thinners. An internal bleed will show up on a CT scan.
The news devastates Jimmy and throws him into a whirlwind of grief, anger, and vindictiveness.
We found your grandfather this morning.
Found him? What do you mean?
Well, it seems he'd been assaulted recently. And it appears a blood vessel in his brain ruptured as a result.
Jimmy unravels into a subplot that nearly undoes all of the progressive steps he had previously taken.
What happened? They killed him. I paid and they still killed him.
What's worse is that Jimmy had already paid his debt to the killers before Dirk's death, making the man's murder unnecessary and unfortunate collateral damage.
Jimmy?
You don't get to sleep through this.
Number 8. Malcolm Beck.
We never met. Yeah, I bet you do.
The Lady Macbeth of the Beck kinsmen, Malcolm was the brains of the operation and final trigger man for their lethal decisions. In their nefarious insistence to eliminate competition, they declared all-out war on the Duttons.
Hey! Stop!
But the enemies of John's enemies become his friends, and he finds himself victoriously standing over an injured Malcolm.
You deserve a lot worse than this.
Instead of finishing him off, John offers his adversary one last conversation in his final minutes. It's a death that doesn't go at all like we thought it would, displaying that the Dutton patriarch is a complicated man, capable of compassion for even those who wish him harm.
Your entire lifetime is going to be reduced to my grandson's face. It's up to you, Malcolm.
John decides to leave Malcolm to cross over alone, though we never actually see him die.
Carter Meeks. That's his name.
Number 7. Sarah Wen. It's a bit surprising Jamie Dutton has yet to make this list himself, but his laundry list of mistakes have sure had repercussions for others.
Sarah, I'm an attorney. I am rescinding my permission to be quoted.
I'm sure they covered the First Amendment in law school. I don't need your permission.
This adopted son's desire for political success often puts him at odds with his own family, and investigative journalist Sarah Wen took advantage of this.
You know, your family deserves to lose everything. I can't tell you the pleasure that it gives me to be the one taking it.
Aiming to shed light on the underhanded dealings of Jamie's family, she convinces him to provide damning information about his father. After changing his mind, Jamie learns that Sarah's tenacity cannot be quelled until she's out of the picture completely. As he strangles her in desperation, he seems disturbingly hesitant, as though he doesn't fully comprehend what he's doing.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Sarah is survived by her girlfriend and a plotline that was forgotten too quickly. Justice for Sarah, anyone? Number 6. Wade Morrow. Taking the Yellowstone brand is a lifetime blood oath, and Wade Morrow learns that the painful way.
Come on.
Morrow and his gang acted as hired guns for Roarke Morris, doing their dastardly best to push the Duttons into selling the ranch.
I need a name.
What name?
After one particularly vicious onslaught against Rip's cowherds, the Yellowstone clan strikes back.
Let me down. Why would I do that?
In a sequence sure to make you squirm, Rip's men remove the brand from Wade's chest before hanging the traitor.
I'm gonna kill you, you son of a bitch. But before I do, I'm gonna take something back.
That Wade deserves the torture doesn't make his howls of pain any easier for an audience to bear. We may never know what made John Dutton and Wade Morrow enemies, but it would likely be overshadowed by the memory of his unforgettable death scene.
Y'all wanted revenge? Well, now you got it. But there's a price to pay for revenge. And now you gotta pay it.
Number 5. Garrett Randall.
I'm 61 years old. And these last months, well, they've made all the 60 years of hell I endured worth it.
Perhaps the most twisted villain that Yellowstone has yet seen is Garrett Randall, Jamie's biological father and murderer of Jamie's mother. Randall readily used his silver tongue to turn his son against John and his adoptive Dutton family. Alongside multiple manipulations, the ex-con also orchestrated the apocalyptic hit on the Duttons in the staggering Season 3 finale. When Beth challenges Jamie with an inescapable ultimatum, Jamie chooses to take his wicked father's life.
Option 1, I tell my father. He will call the governor and he will have you both arrested. Your spineless, woman-murdering father will instantly say it was your idea.
Garrett's final seconds are haunting, thanks to his corrupt declaration of love for Jamie and Will Patton's mesmerizing performance.
You're a good man, son. And I love you.
I love you too, Dad.
This instant marks a major turning point for Jamie, and it buries a skeleton in his closet that we're anxiously waiting to see resurface.
You should have picked options 1 or 2.
Number 4. Dan Jenkins. Depending on how you see it, this power-hungry rival actually has 2 shocking deaths. The land developer butted heads with the Duttons early on the show, and his neck ended up wrapped in a noose as a result. But since he didn't die on screen, Jenkins returned for Season 2 and went on to incur the wrath of the Beck brothers. Facing the mutual threat with John Dutton and Thomas Rainwater, Jenkins became an ally to his former foes, until Beck hitmen gunned him down in his home. Despite his aspirations, Dan was never truly a bad guy. His moving last monologue outlines a key Yellowstone theme, that he was nothing but another hopeful, searching for his piece of the American dream.
I have a right to be here. I have a right. I have a right. This is America.
Number 3. Lee Dutton. This was the first major Yellowstone death that still resonates with its impact.
Get ready. They're coming. Let 'em.
Lee was Kayce's beloved brother, John's faithful son, and heir apparent to the Dutton dynasty. When a cattle dispute between Chief Rainwater and the Duttons results in an escalating power play, Lee leads their men into a showdown against Rainwater's cow thieves.
Wars in Afghanistan, and I gotta deal with this shit.
Struck by gunfire, Lee essentially expires his last living breath in the arms of his brother Kayce. His absence has created an unfillable hole in the family foundation and has forced Kayce to fill his executive shoes. Lee's ghost has left Kayce with burdens of guilt and responsibility, often leaving him torn between his married and fraternal family. Lee's reappearance in Kayce's vision reaffirms that some seeds planted by his death must still be sown. Number 2. Kayce and Monica's newborn. The loss of Dutton firstborn Lee has haunted many members of the Yellowstone family, and Kayce in particular continuously strives to fill his older brother's shoes.
This is your destiny!
Baby, it's just a dream.
Still, he's managed to be a loving father to his son and come to expect a newborn with loving wife Monica. However, Season 5 began with a car accident that contributed to the baby's eventual death, only 1 hour after his birth. The harrowing tragedy has left our heroes to face unimaginable pain and confusion. After the child's spiritual burial, John Dutton reflects on how the infant's short time on Earth can be bittersweet, as he was spared life's painful realities.
All he saw of this planet was you, and all he knew was you loved him.
We're still reeling from this heartache, but the Duttons' ability to recover from turmoil is why we root for them. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. John Dutton.
What happened? It's my father.
We can't have anyone on the inside of the house until detectives give us approval.
Why are there detectives in the house?
Yellowstone took a long hiatus in the middle of its 5th season, and it came back with this unapologetically destabilizing moment. Within the opening minutes, we learned that patriarch John Dutton had met with a terrible fate that would irreversibly change the trajectory of the show. While off-screen disputes between Kevin Costner and Paramount likely necessitated the abrupt end to his character, the show had already set up an unforgivable betrayal that was sure to result in tragedy.
What if I want to play offense?
Despite the headlines, many fans were taken aback by the immediate loss of Yellowstone's central character. His death divided fans and devastated the characters, and the wake of this calamitous loss will no doubt drive the primary events of the series' final episodes.
Go look him in the eye if you have to, Kayce. Look him in the eye. Then come home and help me decide how to kill him.
Whose trip to the train station are you still thinking about? Comment below.